From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is Wake Up Weather.
Good Friday morning to you. I'm Kelly Rawson here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. We are live at 6 a.m. and we are about 24 hours out from the first little bit of wintry precip that we are expecting to see this weekend. Warnings and advisories in effect for this weekend. I will go over everything that you need to know, who is more likely to see what in terms of any sort of accumulation as well as impacts, what we can expect, what we will not be expecting here this weekend, and not to be forgotten, aside from any sort of winter precip here in the Tennessee Valley, the bitter and dangerous cold going to be on the backside after all of that moisture gets on out of here. So we will go over in depth everything that we can expect for this weekend, what you need to know and what you can still do to prepare you, your family, your loved ones, and your home, your vehicle for this weekend's winter storm. Again, like we've been saying the last few days, snow not looking likely. A lot of people's mind just automatically go to snow when they hear winter storm. We are dealing with ice and icy roads and potential for power outages. That is going to be the main issue heading into this weekend and the beginning of next week. I'll let you know how long we're thinking those travel impacts will linger, as well as any sort of ice that does accumulate, and I will go over everything that you need to know here in this weather update. Again, we are going to be a little bit more in depth this morning, so make sure your caffeine is warm, and we will get into the nitty-gritty bits of the forecast. I'll show you Futurecast, as well as just anything and everything you need to know, from impacts to those current warnings and advisories in effect. So let's go ahead and start off with the overarching summary of what we can expect. And like I said, I will get more specific with each of these points here in this weather update. The general timeline: early tomorrow morning, the first few, maybe some light snowflakes and some freezing rain overnight by about the 2, 3, 4 o'clock hour. That is the earliest time frame. More on that here on Futurecast here later on in this weather update, and that will last into about Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening, and that is in terms of the precipitation falling from the sky. We're going to see impacts beyond that, but that is looking to be the timeline for the main event. Again, like we've been saying all week, it's looking like it is going to be a high impact threat for this weekend. Travel issues are likely, whether you see freezing rain or whether you see just rain, because we are dealing with very cold temperatures on the backside, and that is going to create icy roads regardless if it is freezing rain or ice, or if you just see rain in your area. Also looking at the potential for power outages. I will let you know where in the viewing area is more likely to see those power outages. Again, ice looks to be the main threat. We're going to see some switch over to rain late at some point on Saturday into Saturday night. That will alleviate some issues, at least temporarily, for some people. Now, I don't want you to hear that and think you're out of the woods, because like I said, we're going to still see rain, still see a lot of it for some of you folks who may be above freezing for a good amount of time Saturday night into some parts of Sunday. But that rainfall, roads are going to be wet. We're going to see puddling, maybe even some local flooding, and that will refreeze Sunday night, and that will continue to be a problem over the next few days beyond that. And again, like I said, with that cold on the backside, we are going to be dealing with refreezing, and if anything starts to melt, we will be dealing with refreezing over and over again for the next few days. So again, I'll let you know how long we think those impacts are going to last in terms of travel issues. So right now, here are the warnings and advisories on the board. In this dark purple color, that is where we do have an ice storm warning for our viewing area in southern middle Tennessee. That includes Lawrence County, it includes Lewis County, Wayne County, as well as Hardin County. In Mississippi, it includes Tishomingo County. In North Alabama, it includes Lauderdale County, Colbert County, and Franklin County. A winter storm warning. The difference between the ice storm warning and the winter storm warning is that is where we are going to see, I think, a better chance of higher concentrated ice totals and accumulations, but still looking like some major problems for parts of Murray County, as well as Marshall County and Giles County in southern middle Tennessee. Again, that is where the winter storm warning will be in effect this weekend. And a winter weather advisory for you folks who are going to see more rain than freezing rain. But again, we're still going to be seeing that issue with icy roads and refreezing of any rainfall that does fall. So still going to be looking at issues and impacts. That includes in Tennessee, Lincoln County, and then in North Alabama it includes Madison County, Limestone County, Morgan County, and Lawrence County in Alabama. So no matter where you are in the viewing area, again, we are expecting impacts this weekend. Just impacts are going to be a little bit different based on where you live. So we'll go ahead and get to the weekend forecast here in just a moment, but let's also get you out the door this morning. It's cold, right around or just above freezing pretty much area-wide, low to mid 30s out there, so you will need to bundle up. Going to be a relatively colder day, but we are going to be above freezing this afternoon, and then we stay below freezing heading into the first part of Saturday. It is a little bit breezy out there with winds out of the north gusting up to 25 to 30 miles an hour. So again, breezy at times. So keep that in mind as you head out the door this morning. No need for any rain gear or any precip gear for much of today. Again, looking like it's going to start after midnight. You'll see that here on Futurecast in just a moment, but still looking all right, nice and calm, a nice calm before the storm on this Friday morning here in Lawrenceburg, overlooking our Arctic Air Heating and Air Conditioning Skycam network. It is breezy though, with those winds again gusting 25 to 30 miles an hour out there this morning. Over into Florence, again seeing those first few peaks of sunshine, but still seeing that cloud cover. We are mostly cloudy this morning, and mostly cloudy we will stay with just a few peaks of sunshine for today, but again, a little bit of a gloomy day ahead of, again, some heavier precip that we are expecting later on this weekend. All right. So let's go ahead and get through Futurecast. I'm going to show you what we can expect for the rest of today and tonight, when it is still okay to travel and when you should be at your destination for the weekend. So let's go ahead and play through. You'll also notice temperatures, precip type here on Futurecast. So we will go ahead and break down everything that you need to know and everything that you see on here. So again, pretty uneventful for the rest of today. Will be breezy with winds out of the north, temperatures in the lower 40s for this afternoon. But again, we stay dry. It is 10 p.m. on Friday night. So I've had a lot of questions. I have such and such happening Friday night. Am I okay to travel Friday night? You should be okay to travel before midnight, but once the clock strikes midnight, I do want you to be where you plan to be for the rest of the weekend. I don't think we're going to see any issues with precip until we get to after midnight. Again, we're saying that as best case scenario, and just to make sure that you stay safe and we don't put you in a dangerous situation. But Friday, a little bit just after dinner time, that is when you need to be heading to your destination that you plan to stay for the rest of the weekend. So that's kind of looking like the time frame. Now overnight, this is when we could see the first few wintry precip drops. Again, looking to be mostly freezing rain, but at this time frame we could maybe see a few flurries initially. Again, we're not dealing with snow, we're not dealing with snow accumulation, but a few snowflakes may fall from the sky. But again, I'm thinking most of this is going to end up being freezing rain, but maybe a few flurries that will not accumulate though. But just wanted to keep that in the back of your mind. Now heading into Saturday, late morning into the afternoon, temperatures for some of our viewing area at the surface going to be above freezing, where we are going to see mainly rainfall reflected in those advisories and warnings that I showed you here just a moment ago. But check out those surface temperatures into parts of southern middle Tennessee and then parts of northwest Alabama, still below freezing. So that is why we are going to be looking for that potential for freezing rain. Like we've been saying the last few days, freezing rain does not mean a cold rain. It quite literally means freezing rain, and that's how we get ice to accumulate on the roads, on power lines, on surfaces. It is freezing rain that causes the ice to start to accumulate. So that is why we are concerned with ice accumulation and impacts and potential for some power outages as well. So we're seeing the potential for freezing rain continue through the mid-morning to maybe even parts of the afternoon on Saturday, but notice still rainfall for parts of North Alabama. So again, looking like rain. And by the way, freezing rain does fall as rain. You have snow, it gets warmed down lower in the atmosphere, melts into rain, doesn't have enough time to refreeze as surface temperatures are below freezing, but then freezes on contact. So you will likely just be seeing rainfall throughout the day on Saturday, but it is expected to freeze on contact, especially into parts of southern middle Tennessee, northwest Alabama, and northeast Mississippi, where you see this higher concentration of pink. But we are expecting temperatures to change over to above freezing Saturday night, into the overnight, and into the first part of Sunday. Now that is good news. That doesn't mean we're out of the woods by any means, but it could mean that we do alleviate travel issues temporarily. Do I still suggest any sort of travel this weekend? Absolutely not, but any sort of essential travel may be able to cautiously get done. Again, essential travel only, overnight Saturday night, but overnight again, it is still going to be raining. Cats and dogs still going to be dangerous to be driving out there. I still would not want to be driving out there. So again, travel not recommended by any means for anyone this weekend, but essential travel, you may be able to get away with that overnight as temperatures are above freezing, but it's going to take a few hours for any sort of ice accumulation that has accumulated earlier in the day on Saturday to melt. So just because temperatures are above freezing at the surface, give it a little bit again for essential travel only. I want to make that clear again, but we are expecting temperatures to warm up to above freezing almost area-wide overnight Saturday into Sunday. Again, that is good news to alleviate temporarily some travel issues, but we're still going to be seeing plenty of rainfall, and guess what? All of that is going to refreeze by the time we get to Sunday night. But again, still relatively above freezing for most of us Sunday morning, but you see here it's still very close into the western part of our viewing area, so we are erring on the side of caution with the potential for freezing rain still throughout the morning on Sunday, especially into our far northwestern viewing area. Counties along and west of the Natchez Trace Parkway that runs through southern Tennessee and North Mississippi. But then by the time we get to Tuesday afternoon, temperatures will come crashing down once again. Rainfall will turn into a last kind of round of freezing rain as moisture is still there, but temperatures at the surface get back below freezing, and then we are going to be very cold Sunday night as that precip finally clears out, allowing temperatures to get cold. That wind out of the north, we are going to see anything that did fall over the weekend in the form of freezing rain or in the form of rain to refreeze once again Sunday night. The wind not going to be quite strong enough and quite quick enough to dry up anything out there on the roads before it is able to refreeze. So again, expecting travel issues area-wide for that reason, with temperatures getting below freezing as water is still on the roads, on the ground, on surfaces, whatever may have you. So again, we're expecting area-wide icy conditions, even if area-wide we do not see freezing rain. I just want to make that very clear. But that precip gets out of here Sunday night, then we are dry for the most part of the next week. Unfortunately, that does mean we are going to be very cold. So more on those cold temperatures here in just a moment. I'll step off the screen to show you this ice accumulation forecast. The good news, at least for consistency's sake, is we have not made many changes to this overnight. That means we're pretty confident in our forecast, which is certainly a good thing. So again, the more northwest you are in our viewing area, again, think the Natchez Trace Parkway and west, northwest, that is where we are going to see more issues. We are looking at a higher chance for up to ½ an inch of ice accumulation. Again, that could cause some power outages. We could see, again, power outages area-wide, but the more northwest you are, the more likely you are to see any sort of power issues. That is going to be that darker pink color that you see in the northwest portion of our viewing area. That pink, that kind of middle of the ground pink, looking to kind of swath the central portion of our viewing area. We're talking anywhere from ½ an inch to ½ an inch of ice accumulation. Again, we could still see power issues with that, just not as widespread, a little bit more isolated. Not looking at power issues being likely in that lighter pink color where we're going to see temperatures more above freezing for longer durations of time, but still could see some isolated issues. But area-wide, we are going to see travel issues. Again, I'm talking specifically about those power issues. And then where you see that yellow dashed line, that's where we are expecting that switch over to rain again Saturday night into the first part of Sunday. So we will see, again, some temporary melting before it is all expected to refreeze once again. So that is a look at our forecast in terms of any sort of accumulation. Remember, this winter storm not looking at snow, looking at ice to be the main issue. Just want to once again make that abundantly clear. So in terms of impacts, like I just said, we're not expecting snow. Maybe a few flurries early Saturday morning, not going to accumulate. Again, freezing rain going to be the main issue here. And again, what freezing rain is, yes, it is going to look like rain falling from the sky, but it is going to freeze on contact once it hits the ground or once it hits those surfaces that are below 32 degrees. So just want to make that abundantly clear. It may look like it's raining outside, but then you go ahead and take a step outside, you're on the ground. That's just how it works. So again, ice going to be the main threat. Again, some power issues for some parts of our viewing area, again, along and north and west of the Natchez Trace Parkway looks to be the main issue, but area-wide we are looking at travel issues with some temporary alleviation Saturday night into the first part of Sunday, but all of that rainfall, if it does fall as rainfall or freezing rain, expecting to refreeze again Sunday night, causing problems for a few more days to come. More on that here in just a moment. Again, like I said, some power outage in those icy areas where we could see up to half an inch of that ice accumulation. All right, let's talk about the temperatures that we can expect, because again, for this weekend, well, temperatures, yes, they will matter. We're still going to be dealing with rain and freezing rain, so we're going to see those temperatures get below freezing Sunday night. Pretty much everything going to refreeze overnight Sunday night, continuing into the next few days. And that is because Monday only reaching a high temperature of 25 degrees, and those low temperatures, you guys, they're going to be very brutal into the single digits Sunday night and Monday night. Wind chill values. Winds will be out of the north. They will be gusty. We will see wind chill values into the negative values Sunday night and Monday night. So again, keep in mind, going to be very cold, potentially even dangerously cold Sunday night and Monday night. Still going to be cold Tuesday, right around the freezing mark. And with sunshine, we will get some partial melting, gradually eating away at any sort of slick roads that we have, but going to continue to refreeze into the overnights, temperatures getting back down into the teens. So we're going to be hoping for some wind during the sunshine and during some of those melting periods during the afternoons. But again, we're looking at melting and refreezing for at least through Tuesday of next week. So expect some slick roads and travel issues Monday and Tuesday. Hopefully things start to get better and better each day, allowing for some travel by at least the middle of next week. So here's a look at your 7-day forecast, starting with today. Again, clouds stay around for the rest of this morning and afternoon. Temperatures in the lower 40s for the most part for today, and then we will be below freezing for the rest of this evening and overnight. Notice we are still dry heading into this evening around and just after dinner time. So again, any travel for tonight looks to be okay, but like I said, for tonight, once you're wrapping up the evening tonight, be where you plan to be for the rest of the weekend. So precip not expected to start, we'll say at earliest after midnight, but looking like the first few either freezing rain or some snowflakes falling overnight to about the 2, 3, 4 o'clock hour, and then heavier rain in the main show looking to be later on in the morning for us here in the Tennessee Valley. So again, that winter storm bringing us the potential for ice accumulation Saturday and Sunday. That's when precip will be falling from the sky, but impacts last a few days after that, thanks to the bitter cold rushing in on the backside after all of the moisture moves through. So again, Sunday night, a low temperature of a whopping 9 degrees. Wind chill values will likely be in the negative. So again, this is going to be some dangerous cold on the backside of the potential for these travel issues and power outages here in the Tennessee Valley. Again, power outages don't look to be a widespread issue, which is certainly some good news, but again, along and west of the Natchez Trace Parkway in our viewing area, that's where we could see at least a higher chance of those power outages being an issue. Still an issue area-wide, but I think a little bit more isolated. Travel issues will be much more widespread and the main problem heading into the rest of this weekend and the beginning of next week. Like I said, next week we will see a little bit of melting thanks to sunshine and temperatures close to, if not right around freezing by the time we get to Tuesday, but we will continue to see melting and refreezing. So we will gradually get things in better shape, but it may take a few days before we kind of get things back to normal as we stay cold through the middle of next week. That's a look at your weather forecast for this morning. Hopefully it was informative. We will continue to be answering your questions. Taylor Plott has been doing great with those Q&A sessions during the afternoons. I will be back at 8 a.m. with your next weather update. Taylor Plott will be back in the Weather Center. He will be live at noon with another weather update, and Chief Meteorologist Fred Gossage will be in later this afternoon with more updates as we get closer and closer to the first bits of precip of this winter storm falling here in the Tennessee Valley. Stay warm today, stay safe this weekend. Be sure to check on your loved ones, check on your neighbors, and just make sure everybody's doing okay. We'll get through this just fine. Just keep checking back to the forecast. We will all get through it together.
You're watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.